Hi, Nato here. I am actually now in Ottumwa, Iowa. It is the county seat of Wapello County, Iowa. Wapello County was first settled on May 1st. I believe that was 1843. It was settled by land rush at midnight on April 1st, 1843, by a shot of a cannon, where people would rush out on foot and by horseback, similar to that the way of Oklahoma was settled, to establish homesteads in Wapello County. Wapello County is named after Chief Wapello, which is the statue right here top of the Wapello County Courthouse. That is Chief Wapello. He was the chief of the Sac Indian tribe that resided in a large part of what is now Wapello County. Ottumwa was founded in 1843. It was briefly called Louisville. It was settled by a company called the Appanoose Railroad, and they tried to establish it as the county seat and very quickly started to succeed with that venture. This town was changed from Louisville to Ottumwa. The name Ottumwa is a loosely translated kind of word for rippling waters from the Sac Indian language. Wapello County and Ottumwa was known as a regional commercial hub for a huge part of its history. Ottumwa and Keokuk, Iowa were the economic hubs of the southeastern part of the state of Iowa for a long time. There is a college here called Indian Hills Community College. It was actually originally a religious school. So I think it was St. Mary's Sisters, and it was changed to a community college in the 1970s, I believe. Wapello County is known currently to be still the economic hub, one of the economic hubs of southeastern Iowa. It has one of the largest school systems in the state of Iowa, and it's surrounded by a bunch of old Indian mounds. In fact, where the Ottumwa school sits currently is actually where the hilltop in the mound that the Sac Indian Chief Wapello, actually resided while he was in Wapello County. It's actually a city of bridges. There's actually a bridge here in town that glows purple at night up until midnight. In the 1940s and 50s and up into the 60s even, Ottumwa was one of the busiest towns in all of Iowa. What happened shortly thereafterwards is that they went from a city mayor to a city manager system, and they decided that they wanted to be more of a retirement community versus a industrialized city, with the thought being that crime was with all the rowdy factory workers. And so factories tried to come in here and build, and they were rejected. There is a raceway here in Eddyville, not that far from here. They tried to come into Wapello County, into Ottumwa. They were told no. Ford tried to come and build a factory here. They were told no, because again, the idea was they wanted to be a quiet retirement community with less crime and less rowdiness. That actually left the town and the county desolate for a long time. In fact, at one point, it was over 80% of Wapello County was on welfare. I have lived in Ottumwa for quite a few years, and some of the bad things about it is that it has a lot of crime, a ridiculous amount for the size of a town that it is. Most people here don't have driver's licenses. I was trying to hire for a job that required people to have a driver's license, and the biggest problem I had was people didn't have a driver's license. And from what I was told, even by officers that I had become friends with, is that everyone has got OWI, or for some reason or other, criminally aren't allowed to have a driver's license, and during the day they just don't really enforce it or care, but at night it gives them a reason to pull people over. Ottumwa has a couple of good things about it. It does have a lot of manufacturing. There is John that has a manufacturing here. It has a regional airport and the college, Indian Hills Community College. There's a lot of industry that's still here. There's a meat packing plant here, and Wapello County is starting to redevelop itself a little bit better than what it has been in the past. But like most places in Iowa, up until recently, a lot of people have been leaving the state. Jobs and people have been leaving. That's recently changed. So I think Ottumwa will see a comeback. They have to do a lot of work with developing white-collar jobs here in Ottumwa. That's their biggest downfall, is there's not a whole lot of white-collar jobs. There's not a lot of professional type of jobs here. And I think Ottumwa would be much more successful if they were to expand that type of job market. Other than that, the town was decimated in the floods of 1993, but was able to quickly rebound. There is an armory here in Ottumwa. They actually have been deployed several times into the Middle East. One of my best friends actually was deployed twice and got injured and was received a Purple Heart for his valor. So I mean, like I said, I've lived in Ottumwa. I actually do like the town. I think it needs a lot of work, but so does everyone else. And with anything that needs a lot of work, it just takes a lot of community involvement to make something better out of it. Ottumwa has a lot of potential. It does have a drug problem, much like other towns in the area. I've mentioned before in another video that there was a movie called Iowa that was filmed about 10 to 15 years ago. And it's about meth manufacturing. And part of that movie was filmed in Ottumwa because this area does have a major meth problem. And it's something that the state has been trying to deal with. And I think it's a very serious problem that not only Iowa has to deal with, but a lot of former industrialized areas are now struggling with because people don't have anything to do. They have most of the jobs have left, and so the people are stuck. And so to relieve some of the anxiety and the stresses of being unemployed, drug use goes rampant. But like I said, the community and the town have been developing better job markets here. They have been working on creating new economic opportunities for people here. And I think we're going to see a turnaround in Wapello County and Ottumwa. The school mascot are the Ottumwa Bulldogs. They actually have done really well in sports the last couple of years from what I understand. So keep up all the good work, guys. This is one of the larger towns in Iowa. Some of the bigger towns don't have city squares. Like the city of Bloomfield has a city square. City of Centerville has a square. Most of the neighboring towns have city squares, but the big hub cities like Ottumwa doesn't really have a city square. I am in what would technically kind of be the city square if there would have been one. Here's the public library right behind me, but Ottumwa doesn't have that. For some reason, the larger towns, and that was the trick to become a bigger city, was to not have a city square, apparently. But the people here are very nice. A lot of the people I meet are very nice here at Ottumwa. It has made the news a lot. Made an episode of the Tonight Show because there was a restaurant here where they found a lizard's head in the salad. There was a porn theater downtown that the owner was found murdered in one of the seats of the porn theater. There is a history of mafia interaction in Wapello County. Along with Centerville, Iowa, Ottumwa, Iowa was known as a hideout for Al Capone during the 1920s, where he would hide out when things in Chicago got a little bit too hot and heavy for him. So he would come to Iowa and to cities like Ottumwa and Centerville to kind of escape some of that pressure. So it does have some ties to the mob in that instance. But I think that with the new economic developments that Iowa is moving along with, and I think with the current Governor Kim Reynolds, that we're going to see a lot more developments of Iowa communities like Ottumwa and Wapello County, and we're going to start seeing more jobs developing. We're going to see a lot more economic development and a lot more money coming in and circulating. So I would think that Ottumwa would be a good place to start coming in and buying land. There are some of the most beautiful homes in all of Iowa in Ottumwa on North Court, which is a street right behind me. Some of the most beautiful mansions, I would call them mansions, are on this street in Iowa, and they're relatively cheap right now. So the place, a land boom, a place that could really be a land boom for people in Iowa would be Ottumwa right now. So I encourage people to look at coming into Ottumwa, helping redevelop the territory, help bring economic development to the city. And I want to see the lives of people here to improve. And I think with enough community effort that we would see that here. One of the things I strive for in all my political workings is I'm trying to make the lives of people better. And I used to go around, finding ways to diss a community. And I found that you have to acknowledge the bad parts about a town, because Ottumwa and like Bloomfield and Centerville have their bad attributes. But I want to promote, yes, these things are wrong, but there's some good things here. And I want Ottumwa to know that you do have a lot of things you can look forward to. There's a lot of development that you can build with what you have here. So I encourage people of Ottumwa to work hard, put your money into your community, invest in it, make that money worth more by making your town a better place to live. And that's how any town or any community is going to thrive, is by improving itself. Trying to rely on government assistance and rely on the state or the federal government to supply you everything is never going to work, and it's never worked anywhere else in American history. So it's not going to work here in Ottumwa. So that's a brief history of Wapello County and Ottumwa, Iowa. I will leave you with this: the Gothic house, the famous house in Iowa where there's an old man and an old woman, a farmer man and a farm wife standing in front of a house. That's actually not that far from here, in a city called Eldon, which is also where Tom Arnold is from. So that's a historical landmark. Also, there's a restaurant called, what is it called? The Canteen. It's one of the older restaurants. I think it's still in operation here in Ottumwa, and it's actually under the bridge right now. That's a really cool place. It's one of the older restaurants that are still, it's in the state of Iowa, so I encourage you to come and check that out. Come to an Indian Hills Warriors basketball game. They are known as being one of the better basketball teams in the junior college division for basketball. And yeah, that's kind of the brief history. So anyway, guys, until next time, this is Nato. Take care.